Alright, so I'm going to be doing a video on this MSI GS63 Stealth. My customer was saying there was a fan noise issue, so we are going to be seeing if we can repair the fan. Let's see, are there any other models? There's also a model number MS-16K5, so I don't know if they ever use that model number for anything, but yeah, it's the GS63 Stealth. Specifically, this is a 8RE-010US, okay? So anyways, first thing you want to do is remove all the screws from the bottom using a PH1 screwdriver. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Hopefully that's all of them. 4, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think there's actually 15. I missed one somewhere. Oh, there's one also here. I didn't count that one. All right, so make sure you remove all 15 screws. After you do that, you want to lift this up. So under here, we need to undo this. This bracket needs to come out. So what I do is I slide my fingernail under here or pry tool. Okay, I forgot which way it pops out. So this thing actually separates here. Let me see if I can lift this side first. So this part of the cover comes out pretty easily. We're going to go all the way around. I've done one of these before, but I forgot exactly how it popped out. I remember the back piece needs to come off though. So we're just going to pop this up. Okay. If you pull up from the middle and then push this one in, it bows the cover out. It bows the cover out like this and makes the clips release. Okay, so as you push on the bottom here to bow it out, here you can see it kind of just released just like that. Okay, so let's see. I'm pretty sure I need to undo the clip for this thing. I forgot how it comes out though, but it does unclip from here. So these parts, I think you're supposed to lift it up. Let's see if I can do that. And then you can, there we go. So as you're pulling up on this piece, you can actually pull the bottom cover out. So it has little things that grip, if you can see these little holes here. So the plastic grips into that, and that's why the cover gets stuck there. So you have to basically pull the plastic bracket up as you kind of wiggle this out. It does have a thing that sandwiches it in between, so it's a little bit difficult. But yeah, you kind of just have to work it out and it will come out. All right. Just be a little careful with this. All right. Just go along. Oops, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing over here. But basically, I'm just sliding my fingernail along, and then while I'm doing that, I'm kind of wiggling the cover to get it to pop out of those little latches. Okay, there's one more here. Sorry, I know my hand gets in the way, but basically sliding my fingernail along there and then kind of wiggling and pulling this cover off. And after you get all of them out, I don't know why this last one is stuck so much stronger than the rest. There we go. Whoops, almost dropped it. So you got to be careful. But once you get all of those out, as you can see, this cover comes out. When you put it back, you put this back on first. And then, as you can see with this piece, so you put this piece in first. It has these little, sorry, it's hard to see, but it has these little things that stick out. So basically, you put that side in first, like at an angle like this. Hopefully you can tell what I'm doing. And then you just latch it over on top like that, okay? And that's how you get that back on the bottom cover. Okay, so I'm going to take that back out. Now I'm going to use my air blower thing just to confirm which fan is bad. This battery looks like it's going bad too, but okay, let's see. That fan seems okay actually, but let me get the dust out of it. Hopefully I can pinpoint which fan is bad. Actually, the fan is getting stuck sometimes, so maybe this is the one. Actually, all the fans, they're not making any weird noises, so maybe I just have to clean it up really well. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I've done one of these videos before, so I don't know if I should make another video. I'm just gonna blow all the dust out of this thing. If you're wondering what this is called Giotto's or something. It's called like a rocket something. If you want, I can put a link in the I'll put a link in the description below for one of these, because it's pretty good. I recommend this over those air cans. The air cans, they kind of cost a lot of money, and they kind of can cause damage because they blow cold air at your thing, at your computer. So that cold air can cause condensation and can actually damage the computer. So this kind of thing's a lot better. And you don't run out. You just get tired, but your hand will get stronger, so, or your forearm, so it's good. It's like an exercise workout. Okay, so I don't know. The fans seem okay, so... Oh, actually, there we go. I hear it. This fan is bad. Yeah, I hear it. Okay, what about this one? Little, but not really. That one's fine, I think. This fan. That fan's fine. Yeah, that fan's okay. It is a little weird that it stops so fast on its own, abruptly. That's kind of strange. But yeah, so okay. I'm gonna do a complete disassembly on this and then fix that fan. This fan seems okay other than it getting stuck. I might as well do all three fans. This fan in the middle actually is the best, so yeah, that one's actually good. This one, see how it stops so fast? I don't know if you can actually see that in the video. That's kind of not good. And this one, I hear like a grumbling sound, which is really weird. Alright, anyways, we are going to completely disassemble this. Sorry for wasting so much of your time just blowing air at the thing. But yeah, we're going to be disassembling this entire thing. Let's see, what happened to my... Oh, here we go. Okay, we're going to need this large pry tool and this. These are like cake spatula things. But anyways, they... use a strong adhesive down here. Okay, so we are going to have to pry this stuff up. Alright, so I'm going to lift up the battery, and I'm going to use this one and try and push the adhesive back down, but usually it's just going to tear the adhesive, so... Okay, I think it's working. Lifting it up with the small one, and then I'm keeping this adhesive down with the larger one, so... I'm going to try and save the adhesive. Usually it gets torn up, but let's see if I can save it somehow. Right, so we got the battery up. You need to go on all sides, so there's actually adhesive on this side as well. Again, I'm going to try and press the adhesive down to keep it intact. Alright, there we go. There is adhesive underneath as well that you can't really see. Be careful while prying this up because there are cables under here. You don't want to damage them. Oops, I dropped it back down, so let me lift it back up. Okay, here we go. It did tear a little bit of the inside adhesive because I can't see that while I'm doing this, but hopefully those side ones that I rescued are good enough. Okay, so there we go. To remove the cable, what you want to do is grab as close as you can to the connector as possible and then just wiggle it. Wiggle it as you slightly pull back, okay? Hopefully you have it on a surface that doesn't slide around. If not, you might have to hold the other side like this. There we go. And there we go. We got it out. As you can see, a little bit of the adhesive from both of these kind of tore off, but can't really do too much about that. Anyways, the battery model number here is BTY-M6J. Sorry, BTY-M6J. So if you need to replace the battery, that's what you would need. Alright, so after you disconnect the battery, it's always a good idea to press and hold the power button just to drain any power. Alright, so let's open it. What's the power button here or on the sides? Oh, it's on the side on this model. Okay, so press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds just to drain any power that's in the computer, and that will help prevent any damage to the board if you were to drop something on it or, yeah. Alright. Okay, so after you press and hold the power button, now we want to disconnect all the cables so that we can remove the motherboard and then get to the fan so we can repair it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you how, because most people want to know what you can upgrade. So you got the 2.5-inch SATA hard drive here. We will need the, actually we won't need a screwdriver to remove this, but you will need to peel up all this tape and stuff. So let's get this tape out of the way. Alright, just peel it up. I recommend a plastic tool or your fingernails for this so that you don't short out anything on the board. Though once you held down the power button, you probably won't have that issue, but just to be safe, also these tools won't scratch stuff off. Okay, so disconnect this. This is the hard drive cable. If you saw, hopefully you saw, but I flipped up the little white latch and then moved it out of the way. To get the hard drive out, you kind of have to just lift from underneath. I used the screwdriver or something. You can use a small screwdriver that fits in the screw hole here, and then you can kind of use that as a way to lever it out, but it works if you just lift from the side here. Alright, so we'll set the hard drive aside. Alright, and then we're going to disconnect this cable. This is for all the LEDs on the front of the board. Okay, so just flip that latch up. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and then you can pull this cable out. Right, you also got this cable here for the power button. Let me do some zooming in so you can kind of get a closer look. Hopefully you can actually see it. Alright, and then you flip up this little white latch just like the other ones, and then you can pull this cable out. Alright, so just pull the cable out. This one can be a little tricky because there's not much room. It's kind of taped down, so you can use like a small thin tool and then kind of help pull it back just like that. Hopefully you're able to see that. Alright, let's see. Then we got all the cables here. So you got, what is this cable for? I'm not sure. I don't see what it's plugged into because the keyboard cable is covering it. Maybe it's part of the keyboard. I don't know. Alright, so let's lift up this plasticky stuff. Every time I cut my nails shorter, I regret it. I mean, I leave it slightly long, but still I cut it and then it's like I cut too much. Alright, so to peel this tape off these rubber pieces that are stuck, you want to hold the tape flat and then kind of hold the rubber down, and then you can hopefully peel it back. Just pull it and kind of wiggle it. Alright, oh, it actually tore a little bit of that off, but oh well. Peel this off. Alright, let's pull these connectors out. So let's take that one out, flip the latch up, pull this back. Again, I'm not sure what that's for. We'll pull this one. This is for the keyboard. Alright, take that out. Alright, so since that rubber's holding it, let's go to the other side. And then we got the trackpad cable here. Hopefully you can see everything. We'll flip up the little latch and then we'll pull this back. Same thing with this cable here. So this is going to the USB ports here. Like when I was, like I said before, let me zoom out so you can see. When you're prying up the battery, be careful because you don't want to pry these cables and damage them. Okay, so again, let's pull this cable out after taking out that latch. This one, we are going to have to take this board out, I believe, if I remember correctly, because this cable is in the way. Alright, so we got all those cables out. Make sure they're on top of the adhesive so they don't get taped back down in place. Okay. Alright, make sure they go on top of the adhesive. Okay, you got the speaker connector here, so I just grab the wings like this and I kind of just wiggle it and it'll pop out. Okay, let's see what else. This thing I'm going to remove. This is the SD card slot and the Ethernet port. Alright, so we'll remove those two screws from there. Okay, because removing this board is a lot, removing that cable is a lot easier if you move the board, since that cable's quite a bit thicker. Okay, so we're gonna have to peel up this tape, which is a little tricky. Let's peel up this tape out of the way first and disconnect the LCD or LVDS connector. Make sure you held down the power button after removing the battery if you're gonna remove this cable. Flip up the latch. There is adhesive under this, so be careful. And then pull this back, okay? The LVDS or LCD cable, you can then peel it all the way back. You want to be careful not to fold the cable or crease it, so you kind of want to try and keep it as flat as possible. So I kind of pull on it while I'm lifting it up to keep the cable as straight as possible. Okay, just like this. All right, there we go, and then move it out of the way. Okay, there we go. So again, this part of the connector can be a little tricky. You have to get underneath this black adhesive with a small, thin, sharp tool. You can use like a needle or something. All right, so lift that up. Get that out of the way. Flip up the white latch on this one. Right, since we took the 2 screws out, now we can lift this board up, as you can see, and then you can pull the whole connector out. Just like that. We'll leave that there. Okay, so what else do we got here? We got this cable that's going underneath. We can leave that. The wireless card we are going to have to disconnect, or not really disconnect, but we're going to have to take the screw out to get it out of the way. So we'll take this screw out. Okay. Once you do that, we should be able to pull the wireless card out. So what you can do, this little square is raised, so you can lift it slightly at an angle and then use that little square to kind of push it from side to side, and that will wiggle it out of place. Okay, just like that, just so it's no longer connected to the board, so when we lift it up it won't be in the way. Don't forget this little cable back here. I believe this is the keyboard backlight cable, but I'm not sure. I think, yeah, because it's in the back here, so I think that's, it looks like a keyboard backlight cable, so take that one out. All right, so now we're gonna have to take all the screws out, and then, oops, there's also the Cmos battery down here, so we will have to disconnect that. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you a little trick here, because I think this board, they don't mark the stuff. So oops, so what I'm gonna do is take a black Sharpie, and every screw I remove here, I'm gonna put a little mark so that I can tell where the screw came from. And also remember to keep the screws in order, because you don't want to mix them up. They can be different sizes, lengths, and everything. You don't want to put the wrong screws in the wrong spot, and then that can damage the board, or it can damage the whole computer. So be careful with that. Okay, so we'll take out that screw as well. Again, we'll add a black mark there. Okay, and just repeat with all the screws on this board. Okay, so we'll get that one out as well. Put a black mark. Alright, I don't think there's any screws up there, right? Nope. Okay, so just scan the board for screws. There's no screw there, right? No. Okay, there's no screw there. So we got 2 screws going along here underneath the fans. So I'll remove those 2. Alright, and then I'm going to mark those as well. Make sure that you are grounded. That's common knowledge, so usually I don't mention it. And then there's 1 screw here, that's where the fan is. This one, the fan, the plastic piece is black, so you won't be able to see it, but I'll take a silver Sharpie and hopefully that will show up. There we go. Okay, and let's see, any other screws? I think that's all of them. So let's try and lift up the board. Okay, it is lifting. So you don't want to put too much pressure on this heat pipe because you can damage it. So I'm just lightly pulling on it. But if you can, you kind of want to lift more from the board. But since it's getting stuck where the fan is, I'm going to have to actually lift from the fan. So I'm wiggling it and shaking it. And it looks like the tape here is stuck on this, so we do have to remove this tape from that rubber piece. Okay, so again, try and keep it flat, hold the rubber down. if you can, and peel it back. Be careful with all the cables around it because they are delicate. But there we go. We're going to put this tape aside. Hopefully I remember to put it back. I hate these little pieces of tape. I always end up forgetting it, and then I have to open the computer and put it back. But anyways, grab the fan like this with the heatsink, kind of wiggle it, lift it slowly. Again, there is the Cmos battery still connected, so you have to be careful. Oh, I forgot to remove the screws from down here. So as I was saying earlier, this piece is still attached, so we are going to remove the screws holding this in place. And see about moving that out of the way. Wireless card screw, that one. Okay. I'm going to mark that so I remember that I took the screw from this one. Okay. So let's see if I can lift this out. Okay, so we are going to have to move this speaker out of the way. You kind of just lift it up. The cable's there, so just move it out of the way. Okay, once you got that out of the way, you should be able to lift this board up. You kind of have to lift it at an angle, and then you can pull it out like this. Be careful, there is some adhesive holding the white cable down here, so you do have to pull that off. So again, same as with the tape, you kind of want to hold down this piece. Sorry, you can't see it because that's in the way, but hold down the rubber piece with the adhesive, and then pull back and peel this out. Okay, just like that. The adhesive does get stuck on this as well. So yeah. All right, so let's see what else. Should I remove all these things to make it easier or just leave it there? I guess what I can do, I'll remove the white cable from this side. Okay, so I'll just undo this piece and I'll pull that cable out so that way I can take this and set it aside. Alright, I'm getting too much stuff on my desk now. Alright, so this cable's attached here, so we do have to thread it underneath. Okay, so again, let's go back to lifting up the board now that we got everything out of the way. Okay, and then we do have to disconnect the Cmos battery here. So again, I like to pinch the wings and then I kind of just wiggle it as I pull it. If you want, you can actually, well, let's leave that connected and then we can peel this battery off. So that way the Cmos battery settings won't be reset. Uh-oh, it peeled off the whole tape. Huh. Wow, that peeled the whole protective coating off of this battery. So I'm going to have to wrap this with some electrical tape. The adhesive, I guess whoever put this on, they made a sharp corner that caused this to tear off. Which it's not really an issue, but if the battery starts rattling around, it can short out on stuff. So you do want to wrap this up with some electrical tape or something that won't conduct electricity. So I'm going to peel off this double stick foam so that we can reuse it. I'm going to stick it back. Let's see, where was it here? It was like down here. Okay, so I'm going to stick that double stick foam back right there. I mean, the actual battery will be on top, so it won't be a big deal, but I'm gonna put some electrical tape over it anyways, just so there's no chance that it will come out and cause any damage. Okay, so cut some electrical tape and we will just wrap this up to prevent it from coming back out. Alright, just like that. Wrap the tape over the top and the other sides. There we go. Okay, so now let's continue lifting the board out. Alright, you want to be careful because the ports here might get caught, so as you're lifting it, you kind of pull. Oh, let me zoom out some more. So as you're lifting this board, you want to kind of pull it that way, okay? And wiggle it, and there we go. And then be careful with all the cables because I left the Cmos battery connected. I have to watch for that. And then also these cables, you want to make sure to guide it underneath. Okay, so I found out what this cable is. This cable here, it's connected to this board for, is that also for the keyboard? Yeah, I think that's also for the keyboard. Yeah, so I think this keyboard actually has like a dual, like it's connected in two spots, and that's, I think, supposed to help with ghosting or something. But anyways, I don't know why they have a thermal pad in here that's covered with this Kapton tape, which is supposed to resist heat. But anyways, I'm going to clean all the dust off this because it's really dusty, and I'll be back. Let me pause the video and I'll come back in a bit. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I cleaned everything up, and now we are going to go ahead and remove the fans. Or not the fans, well, technically not remove the fans, but we'll remove and repair the one that's bad. So, again, let's check the fans. I can actually tell which fan is bad while holding it now, because when I use this to blow the fan, I can actually feel the vibration. So, alright, so I guess one thing we'll go over first, because probably more people are interested in upgrading components. Here you can actually see the RAM and the SSD. So this is the M.2 SATA SSD, but I think this should support a PCIe NVMe SSD. Don't quote me on that. You'll probably want to Google around for the answer, but I'm pretty sure it will support it. I don't know why they used a SATA SSD because it's slower, but here you go. The RAM this is 8 gigs, PC4 2400T. So, I mean, technically you can upgrade to whatever size you can find. I think somebody said you can actually get 32 gig sticks of this, so technically you can put 64 gigs total RAM. I don't know why anyone would need that much RAM, but I guess it's possible. Alright, so when you put it back, you put it at an angle like that, and then you just snap it back down. For some reason the other side didn't snap down, so let me double check, make sure it's all in all the way. Alright, and then snap that down. There we go. Alright, the one sucky thing about this is if you don't snap the RAM in properly and then you put it all back together, and then it won't work. So make sure you get the RAM in all the way properly. Alright, so the fan, again, this side, this fan is the bad one, so I'm only going to fix that one. But maybe I'll do a video on all of them. We'll see, because these fans are kind of a pain to remove. Normally you'd want to remove the whole heatsink to get the fans out, but I'm going to see if I can actually remove the fan without doing that. So first what we're going to need is a PH0 screwdriver. So let's switch to the PH0, and then we're going to have to remove all the little screws that are holding this in place. Let me see, there's one up here, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, is that it? 5 screws? Yeah, so there's 5 screws, and then there's also this piece of tape here that we're going to have to take out. And there's some dust caught in here, so I'm going to take that stuff out as well. Sorry, you probably can't see what I'm doing, but there's some dust caught in this area that I'm trying to grab out. Alright, once I get the fans out, it'll probably be easier to do that. Anyways, let's take out the 5 screws here. Normally you'll want to work on this on a flat surface, so let's move this out of the way actually. And I'm going to put the motherboard down here. I have this anti-static mat that I get from, actually take this stuff out from packaging from computers that when I buy parts. But yeah. Alright, so let's take out the screws. Hopefully you can see. Alright, let's take out the first screw here. It's difficult to do this when I'm looking from the side. Normally I'll have my head right over the top of it, but then you won't be able to see what I'm doing, so we'll remove this screw as well. Okay, 2. This, 3. Oh, I got the lint stuck in my finger. Alright, there we go. 3, 4, alright, and 5. And we're also going to have to disconnect both of the fans so that we can remove them. So it's a little tricky because there's not much room to like get your hand in there. If you can, then do that. Grab it, wiggle it just like that, and pull it out. If you can't, then you might have to use some kind of tool, but I always try and use my fingernails. To me, it's the most convenient tool, and it works really well. So just wiggle this one as well, and there we go. This one's kind of stuck because this adhesive, so let's peel this off actually. Okay, let me use the little thing to make it easier. Peel that up and get that out of the way. Right, and then pull this connector out. What is it getting caught on? Okay, I kind of have to lift it up slightly. There we go. Okay, so now that we got all of that, let's see, is there anything else holding it in place? There might be a clip holding it on this side, but yeah, we do have to also peel off this adhesive. So let's see here. Should I peel it? I'll peel it from the bottom side if I can. So let's see. There's no gap here, so it's going to be a little bit harder to peel it from this side, but let's see if I can. I'll go between the two, the heatsink and the fan. All right, that worked. It peeled up a tiny bit. All right, and then I'll get underneath the rest of it, and let's peel this back. All right, just like this. This works better than any tweezers I can find, so. All right, so there's actually a air hole right here, so it's not really sealed with anything. But yeah, once you get that adhesive, as you can see, the fan is moving around because we took the screws out as well. Okay, so as you can see, I can lift the fan up slightly like this, or hopefully you can see that. All right, let's see what I can see on the other side. All right, there is a little clip down in this hole here. I doubt you can see it. I don't think even if I zoom in that you'll be able to see that. Let's see here. How can I get this in view? So where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna knock all the screws over, but let me see if I can show this. Okay, where am I here? Yeah, I'm gonna knock all the screws over trying to show this, but here we go. So right here, there's actually a little clip. So what you need to do is you need a small, like thin tool. A flathead screwdriver will work fine, but you need to kind of twist that. I don't know if you can even see it. There's this metal clip here that I'm pointing to. Okay, and you kind of have to bend that out towards the motherboard. So that way when you lift this up, there you go, it releases. So there you go, then you can slide the fan out. Be careful with the connectors, and then you can get all the connectors out from under there. Okay, I'm knocking all the screws everywhere. Hopefully I'll be able to figure it back out. But anyways, that's how you remove that. Okay, so now we got the whole fan assembly out. If you want, you can take a toothbrush and then just brush the propellers off to get any dust that you can off of them. Right, and any dust that's over there. And here you can see, look at this. Oh my goodness. See how much lint is all caught in there? And that's even after like blowing the dust out of it and everything. So now we can actually get all this lint out. Sometimes if you're lucky, that can be all that's causing the problem and you don't have to re-grease the bearings. So I'm actually gonna see about taking the other fan out as well, just to make sure both sides are clean, because this one was pretty bad. So if that other fan isn't too difficult to remove, I'll do that as well. I mean, the customer just needed the one fan repaired, but might as well since we already got everything out. Sorry, let me zoom back out for you guys. Oops, way too far. All right, there we go. Since we already got it all taken apart, might as well clean up everything, right? Okay, so there we go. We got that out. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna leave that here for now. I'm gonna check the fan, see if it's all rumbly. Oh yeah, I can still feel it. This fan is so much nicer. So what you do is you just take these propellers off. Sometimes they get stuck and you have to use some special tools to get them out, or you have to use a lot of force. Other models will actually have the bearings open from the other side of the sticker, so you can peel the sticker out and then there's a little cover and you can add grease in there. This one has like a metal or plastic bracket that you can't, it's completely sealed. But anyways, we're gonna take the propellers off. Okay, And oh yeah, some other models, the propellers will be held in super tight, where you have to get something to push on all 3 of these openings here and just push it really hard through the back. But those are a lot more tricky to replace because it takes a lot of force and a lot of people will end up breaking them. But anyways, we got that. So now I need my bottle of oil. Let me go grab that. I will be back. I'm going to pause this. And once I get the oil, I will be back. Okay. All right. So here's what we do. I got this bottle of oil. Let me see if I can show you what the fan sounds like so you can see if there's a difference, hopefully. You can't really hear it. Actually, after pulling the fan off and putting it back on, it already helped a little bit. So, but anyways, I'm going to fix up both of these fans, okay? There's some dust in the thing underneath, so I'm just cleaning around there. Okay, so what you do, you don't really want to do this over the computer, though oil shouldn't be an issue, but just to be safe, I wouldn't do it anyways. Okay, so what I do is I take a needle. You don't really have to use a needle, but I'll get a piece of paper, clean off the little shaft or the post or whatever this is called on the fans. Okay, so do that on both of them. This gets rid of the old oil. If you can see, it turned kind of like grayish. Okay, then I'll take some synthetic motor oil. If you want, you can just go to your car, pull out the dipstick, and then get a little oil from that. You really need very, very little. So you don't need a bottle of oil. You don't need to go buy oil. But what I do is I'll take a little needle like this, and then I'll tilt the bottle of oil over, get a drop of oil on there, okay, and then I'll just drop it into this, just like that, okay? And even that's kind of too much, but when you put the thing on, it will kind of push all the oil out. So you can take some of the oil from there and move it in the other one because we're going to be fixing both. Okay. All right. That's not really grabbing much oil, so I'm actually going to go grab a drop again. Okay, I'm going to drop that in there. All right, so now that we got oil into the bearings here, so you don't want to use like cooking oil or anything like that, because if you leave it over time, it gets gunky really fast. The motor oil and stuff, it holds up really well for a long time. Okay, so once you do that, just drop the fan back in place. All right, do that with both. Okay, line it up. Make sure you don't drop it onto the copper wires, because if you damage those, then your fan won't work anymore. Okay, so now what you do is just spin it around. I'm going to use this to test it, make sure it's spinning well. I can already tell it's a lot better. It's still not perfect. He must have been running the fan for a while with a dried up bearing, so it might have worn the bearing out a little bit, but it's a lot better than before. So if you can see, it spins a lot longer. Okay, and usually what I do after I apply some oil, I will actually take it back out, okay, and then I'll clean it up. Same thing with the other one. All right. So here you can see the oil's a lot cleaner than before. This was like some gray stuff coming out. All right. And then after you do that, you can apply a little more oil. It doesn't really need too much oil on the thing, but it's nice to have the oil there. So you just get another like small drip on the needle. All right. And then just put that in there. Again, grab a little bit. And there. Lube up the bearings. There we go. Drop the fan propellers back in place. Oops. Let me lift this up so I can see it better. And what usually causes this is moisture and smoke and dust. So what happens is because there's like a gap between here for smoke and dust to get in. So if you cook a lot of things or high humidities, the moisture gets into the bearing and it actually causes the grease to gunk up a lot faster, or it absorbs if dust and stuff gets in there. It actually like soaks the oil into the dust, and then that's what messes up the bearings or the grease. So these fans are good. All right, so we can put it back. Let me show you actually the metal clip that I moved aside. So this is the metal clip I was referring to, if you can see it in there. So now we're actually going to have to bend it back the other way before we put the fan. So it's nice they actually put a slight notch in the motherboard for this. So yeah, now we're going to have to bend it back inwards. Okay. Just slightly. Okay. All right. All right. So there we go. So we bent that metal bracket back inwards, so that way when you put the fan back, it will go over and latch back in place. Okay. So let's grab the fan. And you do have to thread these pieces back under. Okay, make sure that you get both connectors threaded back underneath. Okay, and also this plastic piece. All right, make sure the adhesive here is out of the way. You don't want it to go underneath the fan. Okay, and then flip it over, double check, make sure everything is lined up. Okay. This metal latch should go over the thing. It looks like I do have to bend it back more, so I'm going to take the fan out. I'm going to bend this metal latch back more first. Okay, bend it back towards the center. Oops, way too much. Okay, there we go. Then we'll slide the fan back over. You can use the fan to kind of push the latch over like that. And then there we go. So after you do that, flip the thing over. You can't, well, I'll put the adhesive afterwards, but flip it back over, and then we have to put the screws back in. You can make sure to plug these cables back in too, just to be safe. All right, just squeeze it together once you get it plugged in. Same thing with this one. Get this adhesive out of the way. Squeeze the connectors back together. Put the tape back over. All right, so we're going to put the fan screws back in first on this side, and then I'm going to see if I can take out this one without taking the heatsink out. All right, so for the fan screws, I like to put them loosely first just to make sure all the screws go in, and then after that I'll tighten them down completely. Okay. Just like that. So once you get all the screws in, it makes sure everything's lined up. You can tighten them down. Don't over tighten these because they are screwed into plastic, and the plastic can easily break and then the screw won't hold anymore. So just make sure you don't over tighten it. Once it like tightens to where it stops, then you're probably good. Okay, you can try and move it a little bit, but not too. Don't use too much force. Okay, there we go. So we got the fans all back in. Then you want to put this adhesive back over the top to cover that little hole that was exposed over there. Okay. All right, cover up that hole. All right, so now let's remove the screws from this side and see if we can take this fan out easily or not. So there's 3 screws on this side. Okay, might as well redo all the fans since we have it open. Okay. All right. So we got those 3 screws out. We do have to remove the connector again. I think this one will be kind of tricky to remove, but we'll see. All right, so this one, we're going to remove this connector as well. So again, since I can't get both fingernails in there, I'm going to use the tool to do it. on one side, so I'll use my fingernail to push one and then the tool to push the other side, and you just walk it back and forth and it will pop out like that. Okay, flip the board back over. Let's see, does this one have the metal latch as well? There's supposed to be a metal latch there, but it looks like it's missing. Maybe it's, I don't know, it looks like it's not there. But then there's also this adhesive strip that's going across here. So we are going to have to peel this adhesive strip up. So let's use this tool and see if I can peel it up from here. It's holding pretty strong, so I don't know. Let's see. Let's try the sharper end. There we go. So that works. So I can get the sharp end of this tool to go underneath, or the flat end, and then just get underneath the whole length of the fan. Once you get that up, then you can kind of pull up the fan. All right. It seems like it's stuck over here on something. I think that's where the plastic, oh yeah, okay. That's where this leg is. So what we're gonna have to do is lift this side up, and let's see, is it gonna be stuck there? Is something else holding it in place? Yeah, this one's, I don't think you can get it out without removing the heatsink, because there's a plastic thing here and a plastic thing here. I'm gonna try, but if I can't get it without removing that, I'm not gonna take it out. So what I'm gonna do is try and lift the fan over that piece and then kind of maneuver it. Let's see here. This piece is held in here and that piece is held over there. So is there anything else holding it? No? Okay. So what you need to do, you have to actually pull the heatsink up. So I'm pulling the heatsink up because the lip of the fan here gets caught on it. So when you pull the heatsink up, you should be able to guide it underneath, just like that. If you want, you can get your fingernail or pry tool underneath here and kind of pull that up. So here you can see, actually, I don't know if you can see. Hopefully you can see. But basically, I pulled up the edge of this, so that way the lip of the fan doesn't get caught on it, and then you can slowly pull this out diagonally. Just like this. It looks like it's coming out. Let's see if it will come out completely. It's getting caught on something else now. Let's see. So I'm going to slide this over that way. Yeah, maneuvering this is kind of tricky. Let me see here. Okay. I'm going to pull up a little bit more on the heatsink so that I can get this over that little chip there. All right. And there we go. I can pull it forward and then pull that out. Right, so it does take a little bit of maneuvering, but we can do it. Look at all this dust here. So this is, yeah, good thing I took that out. That was pretty bad. I'm going to clean the dust off here with the toothbrush as well. And then I'll use the little thing to blow the air through it. Okay, so I'll get all of that out as well. Alright, we don't want any dust to sit in there. Alright, so now we're going to fix this fan as well. This time you'll get a close-up because I moved the board out of the way. I'm going to clean the dust off this. Okay. So the fan spins better now that I removed that big dust ball. But anyways, just grab the propellers, pull it off. Again, take the napkin, clean off the post or the shaft. Alright. Grab the needle, add some oil to the bearing. Okay, just like that. Drop the oil in. There we go. Put that in. Spin it around. Alright. Take the propeller back off. Clean off the oil. Alright. Alright, then we're going to add back a little oil. It doesn't take too much. Alright, just like that. There we go. So I'm going to clean the needle off and put it away. We are done with oiling, greasing up all the fans. Put the fan propellers back on. Just like that. Here you go. Usually one way you can tell the fan's good, though with these super thin ones sometimes it doesn't work too well, is when you kind of wiggle it like a little bit, you can see that the fan kind of bounces back and forth. That shows that the bearings are greased well enough that it doesn't stop it from going back the other way after it slows down. So here you can see it like wobbles, and that's a good sign. With the bigger fans, it's a lot more visible. So there you can see it went back the other way. See, it like wiggles, and that's how you know the fan is good condition. All right, so we're gonna put the oil away, and now we're gonna put the fan back into the housing. So this one was a little bit trickier. It's also trickier to put back, but basically do the same exact thing. All right, so this goes, and these things all go underneath. Okay, these two plastic things go underneath. So just slide it in. You do have to kind of pull the heatsink out of the way when you do this. So it's a little bit tricky, but you kind of, if you pull on this part of the board and push on this side of the heatsink, you can see that it moves. So I just do that with my thumb and my fingers. All right. And then you can slide this side in first, the bottom down here, because you can't flex that. And then you can rotate this side in like this. Okay, there we go. So hopefully that's in. There we go. Perfect. Okay, then we'll flip this back over. Make sure that the lip of the fan, if you can see it, is sticking out further than this metal piece. That's how you know you have the fan back in properly. Then you can plug the fan back in, right? Just like that, squeeze the two together, and then we will put back the fan screws. All right, again, first time you put the screws, put them in loosely just to get them all lined up. All right, now that you got all the screws, tighten them up. Okay. Sorry, I know it's not centered, but there we go. Okay, now to reassemble everything. So we got all the fans in. If you want, you can test them again. In the housing, it's a little bit harder to see the wobbly thing that I mentioned earlier. But yeah. Okay, this tiny fan doesn't have that effect. It doesn't have enough mass to kind of turn back and forth. Oh, you couldn't even see it, but this tiny fan, you can't really see the wobbly as much, but if I blow it lightly, you can kind of see it. This one, you can see it wobbles. Okay, so there you go. So those are all lubed up really well. So now we got to put the motherboard back in. So grab the top piece. All right, we'll flip the board over. Let me zoom back out so you can see the entire thing. Whoa, way too much. Okay, so what you got to do, you put this side in first, just like how we had when we took it out. You wanted it at that angle. Make sure you hold all these cables out of the way. That's the tricky part. I was wrong about this being the backlight. Actually, what is this? This is a microphone, I think. I don't know, or like a light or something, but yeah, I don't know where the keyboard backlight cable is. That's weird. I guess they integrate it into this. Maybe this is the keyboard backlight. All right, anyways, let's put the board back in at an angle like this. Again, you want to make sure all the cables are out of the way. Since I left the Cmos battery attached, I don't have to worry about it, but if you took it out, make sure that the Cmos battery is on top of the board. Okay, the trickiest part is making sure that all these cables remain on top. Oh, actually, there's one thing I forgot. We do need to thread this cable underneath these cables. So technically you only need it underneath the speaker cable, but I'm going to thread it under both because that's how they had it. So all right, so we're threading that back underneath. make sure the Cmos battery's out of the way. Okay, we got that. All right, so now let's tilt it back at that angle. Make sure the USB is slotted in properly. Okay, that's the best way to know that it's lined up. Slowly drop it down as you check that all the cables remain on top. Okay. Get the keyboard cable out. Get this cable out. The tricky part is these rubber pieces will fall in the way, so you need to kind of move them out of the way as you drop the board. All right. And you don't want to force the board down. It should drop in place on its own. So if it gets caught, just check around. You might be getting something caught underneath the board. Okay, so I'm going to plug the speaker connector back in, get the wireless card out of the way. Okay, just like that. Again, just slowly drop it in. If it's not going all the way down, just check around. Something might be getting caught. Okay, and then you do need to kind of push the heatsink in so it's not getting caught on this metal piece here. Okay. All right, so let's plug this cable back in, the power button. If you don't plug this in, your computer won't turn on, so make sure you plug that one in. All right, let's plug back in this cable. These cables can be a little tricky to line up, but basically just get them lined up and then push them back in. There we go. Get this cable in. There's some dust in there, so I'm going to clean it out. There we go. Get that cable in place. Push the latch down. Keyboard cable in place. Push that latch down. Trackpad cable in place. Alright. Push the latch down. This cable goes to this board. Make sure you plug it back in. Oops. I'm gonna get all the screws messed up. Here we go. Put that back there. Alright, so again, make sure you plug that cable back in here. So I'm gonna turn this over sideways. Plug this back in. Latch that back down. 3 USB ports and the audio jack. If you miss these cables, then some of those aren't going to work. Keep that in mind. All right. I'm going to slide this cable underneath as well. I don't remember if it was underneath or on top. This cable might have been on top, but whatever. All right. So slot this back in. It's not going in properly. Come on, line up. Stop pushing the latch. There we go. Okay, get that cable back in. There's a little dust on it, so get that off. Put that latch back down. Get this USB board. This thing was on top, wasn't it? Oh no, okay. Oh, okay, I can just take the speaker back out. So get the speaker out of the way. Put the USB slots down first, okay? USB ports down first, and then let that drop in. Put the speaker back in place on top. All right, so now we're gonna get the screw. Put the screw back in here. Make sure the USB ports and everything are lined up against the side panel here. Tighten that back down. Wireless card, plug back in. Okay. Push back in all the way. All right. If you want a video on how to remove the antennas, I have a bunch of laptops that I show that on. So if you took the antennas off, or if you wanted to take the antennas off, you do that by pulling up on the tail. To put it back, just line it up and push it down. I'm not going to show that in this video because, yeah, you don't need to see that in this video. You can watch another video for that. All right, so here we go. Tighten this one in. There we go. Got that in place. Now we'll grab this, the SD card Ethernet port board, and put that back in. Have to lift up this tape here. Okay, move that latch out of the way. Slot the connector back in. Alright, just like that. Put the latch back down. Alright, put the tape back on top. And then same thing, you want to slot the connectors down side first. And then once you get all of that lined up, you can push the rest of the board down. Make sure this rubber's not in the way. Alright, we'll put back these 2 screws. Okay, now let's get back all the motherboard screws. So we'll grab this one for, oops, I should have put this fan screw back in first. Oh, I can still reach it, so I'm going to put the fan screw while underneath this cable. There we go. Alright, so get that screw, then get these 2 screws here. Alright. Hopefully you made sure that you didn't smash this cable underneath. Okay. Let's plug back in this cable. Sorry, my head's going to be in the way for this because I need to see what's going on. Here we go. Get that in. Put the latch down. Alright, now let's put back the rest of these screws. Let's see, we got 3 more. So we got 1 down here. One over here. One up here. Okay, you can line this one back up. This cable for the Cmos battery goes behind this plastic piece. Okay, and then we're just gonna put that back in like it was before. Stick that back down there. Okay, grab the hard drive. Slot it in place. Come on, go in there. This one can be a little tricky because of the foam pad, so you kind of have to push it against the foam pad to make it line up properly. Come on, go in. It doesn't want to go in. Oh, that piece of tape came off. Let me put the hard drive all the way in place first, and maybe I can get it in. Okay, there we go. Doesn't line up right, but it should be okay. There we go. And then put the latch down. Okay, we'll put this piece of tape back on there. Not that it really does anything, but we'll put it there. Okay, got all those connectors in. Now we'll grab the giant piece of tape that I took off and put that back as well. Like that. Okay, I just lined it up with the rubber things that got ripped off from these. So hopefully it's lined up properly. Close enough. Okay, get that in there. Now we'll take the LCD or LVDS cable. Get that cable out of the way. The tape out of the way, I mean. Alright, slot it in. Alright, once you get it slotted in, put the latch down. Then you can push down the adhesive on here that was there before. Put back that. All right, so we're pretty much done. Let's put the battery in, put the cover back on, make sure it turns on. I do recommend they replace this battery. It's inflating quite a bit, but we're gonna use it since it was working without replacement, they were saying, I think. Okay, so let's put the battery connector back in. This can be a little tricky. Come on, battery. They should have added the little wings to this. It's difficult to pull this battery connector back in because there's not really anywhere you can grip. But okay, I'll just grab the wires, I guess. There we go. So that's in. Push this as close to the hard drive as you can, and then drop it down just like that. There we go. So as I was saying, with this back cover here, you want to get this side in first, okay? And then after you get that in, you just rotate it over the top, just like this. And this will stay like that. What is that? White? Oh, they didn't peel off the little protective stuff. Okay, there we go. It's a lot shinier now. Let me peel that off on both sides. Okay. Alright, so the battery's deciding to fall out on its own. So the adhesive isn't as strong as it was before. Anyways, now you can take the bottom cover. If you want, you can put the bottom side in first. Alright, just like this. And then when you get to the top, it's a little tricky because you have to get the wedge part in between this part. It sticks out a little. And then when you get that in there, you kind of have to lift the parts that have these little holes. So let's see if I can, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but let's try. Alright, so we got this in. Wedge that and lift up that side. There we go. Wedge that, lift up this side, drop it in. Wedge that, lift this side where the little latch is and drop it in. Alright, and just do that all the way down. Everywhere there's one of those little notches with the holes, you need to lift that side of this plastic bracket up to get that to latch in place. Okay. Oh, this last one's a little tricky because you want this side to go down, alright, and then this side to go up. So there we go. Alright, so now we got all of that latched in. We're good to go. Let's put back all the screws, power it up, and make sure everything is working. So we're going to switch back to the PH1 screwdriver. Okay. Let's take the screw. I'm going to put in the corner screws. Did it latch in? It just popped, so that's, yeah, that one went in now. Okay. So tighten that up. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's put this one here. Is it gonna pop again like the other side? Nope. Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna put in the corner screws in the corner so that way the shell stays in place. And then we're gonna power it on. I might have to plug this in to power it on, but we will see. Alright, so a lot of the computers, after you take them apart, they want to... Oh, okay, so that light there's wasn't a backlight. It was for the power light. Okay, anyways, let's see if it turns on without me plugging it in. No, it looks like I have to plug it in. Alright, let me plug it back in. Okay, plug this cable in here. And then let's grab this. It's all tangled up, so. Okay, so let's plug this in. Where's the plug? Is it all the way on the back? No, it's on this side. Okay. Alright, so let's plug the cable in. And hopefully everything will work perfectly. Let's clean the dust off this. All right, let's power it up. I hear it. There we go. We got the LEDs on. And the computer's on. It worried me because this doesn't have any light that tells me that it's plugged in. But yeah, it's spinning. It's good. All the keyboard lights are on. The power button light or the power light is on. Uh-oh, he had it auto login, so there's no password. All right, and we got the lights on the front here are on. So everything's good. What's the battery charge level? Battery charge level is 95%, so I'll unplug this. It's working. It's staying on. Oh, I don't know if my customer will want you to see that stuff, all their icons, but anyways, we're good. Let's shut it down, put all the screws back in, and we're good to go. Again, I do recommend they replace the battery because it is bulging out, but other than that, looks good to go. We are going to shut it down, make sure it powers off completely. All right, and we'll now put back all the screws. It looks like the bottom case screws are all the same size if you did end up throwing them all in a pile. I don't recommend doing that, but in this case, you probably will be fine. But either way, I like to put back all the screws exactly where I took them out from. So, yeah. All right, put back all the screws. Oh. Why is my cat making some weird noises? I don't know if you guys heard that, but cat's making some weird noises. Uh-oh, I think she's throwing up. That's not good. Alright, anyways, get all the screws back in. And we are pretty much good to go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe so that'll help others find my videos. It'll also help me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.